welcome to Watch It Paint It. Today I'm painting the Trebuchet or Catapult from CMON Games Zombicide Green Horde. It's the first model from Green Horde. I've done it. I worked through most of the night, but I've got a model completely painted and ready for you guys to watch, done the editing, done the audio, as you can hear. And I thought, what I'm doing is I'm going on holiday soon and I wanted to get some of these models out to you as fast as I could while we're all super hyped for this game. So I've set myself that little challenge. I want to set you guys a little challenge. So what I'm going to do is, if we can get 50 likes on this video, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Or 25 subs, if you like it, join the channel, come and watch some more videos. Or finally, just a single patron. If I get one new supporter on Patreon, I'm going to crack out another video tomorrow. I'm going to do it that fast. I'm going on holiday very soon, so let's keep each other motivated. Let's keep the hype going. Let's get some of these models done. They're looking cool. These are really, really nice models to paint so far. So, without further ado, let's start on this Trebuchet. I expect that a few of you are probably quite new to painting. It might be the first game you're painting, so I'll show you the priming, and I'm going to use one of Army Painter's colour primers. This is the Leather Brown. Outside, because I don't want to breathe this in, I want some fresh air, and I've given it a good shake, a couple of minutes shaking, and then I'm going to start by spraying slightly off the model, get any of the blobs out of the way, and then I'm going to go from left to right, right to left, just giving it very, very light, smooth coats across these three models that I've decided to do in brown, so you can see what else I might be working on soon. Once I've finished, I'm emptying the can out there. You could see as soon as the colour stops coming out, I've finished and the nozzle's clear and it won't be a problem. Just showing you how the model looks after it's been primed. Notice it's a little bit bendy. I know Stephen on my Patreon will be complaining he hates bent models, but I didn't notice until afterwards, so unfortunately I've not fixed it. Can you fix it after it's painted? Somebody can let me know in the comments. Maybe I can fix that afterwards. So I'm on to painting these ropes next. I'm going to use Army Painter's Zombie Skin. And I've got my regiment brush here and quite a watered down zombie skin, probably about 50-50 water and paint. And I'm just going to do a couple of layers of this colour across all the ropes, including that rope holding the net that has the bag of rocks on it that they're going to be hurling at these orcs and zombie orcs, zombie goblins. Blah. This is going to be, I can't wait to play this. I've not played it yet. I'm sure some of you who've got this have already played it. Let me know in the comments how it plays. Is it any better than Black Plague? Just zooming forward there, you can see now all the ropes are completely finished, looking pretty tidy, getting there already. There's only about 3 colours to do on this model, so you're sort of a third of the way there already. After that, I'm going to use Filthy Suits. You can see I've not painted the net because I realised I need to paint some rocks in between all of these nets, in between the net and all these ropes on the net. And I'm just switched down to my detail brush here, and I'm going to be just painting in between all of the net and just getting the rock so it's nice and grey, looks a little bit more like a rock instead of a bowl of mud, which probably wouldn't cause that much damage, although I don't know if it's dry, hard mud, probably could kill you, I guess, but paint it as a rock, it's going to look a lot cooler. One thing to notice here, this is the second Army Painter's Zombicide set of paints that I'm using. I'm going to try and paint all of this with just Zombicide, because you may, if you already painted Zombicide, you might have bought these paints like I did. This is how I started. These are the first paints I ever purchased, and it gives you a nice range to paint Zombicide. Now, I don't know if Army Painter are going to do a specific paint set for Green Horde, because straight away I've noticed I haven't got the colour for the orcs, so I'm not 100% sure. What colour do you guys think we should be painting those orcs? I'm going for the goblins and like that necrotic flesh, but the orcs look more bluey to me. Let us know in the comments below. Zombie skin's out again now. Now that's the painting the rest of this netting around these rocks. So once I painted the rocks, and there's no way I would be able to get that grey past the netting had I painted this first, so I'd just have a big mess of net with grey all over it. So that's why I'm doing it in this order. My advice would be do the grey first and then just do all the ropes and net at the same time. I should have started with the grey. I honestly just didn't see how difficult that was to get the brush in between all of these ropes around these rocks. Next, we're going to be moving on to Machinegun Metal. It's basically the third colour of this model. It's not many colours, it's not too difficult to paint, but making it look good, therefore I think it's a little bit difficult when something's so plain and simple. It's going to take some steps to make it look good, but not really that difficult. This model I think is perfect if you're new to painting or just new to starting the set. This is a great one to start with. It's a piece of cake. There is nothing difficult in painting this model. You'll be able to do it very, very easily. I do think it's quite time consuming. This wasn't a quick job. It's quite big. It's the biggest model in the box, and it's just lots and lots of layers of paint of the same colour. Even though I shortcutted with the spray primer, the colour primer, so it still took a long time. Just showing you there. At that point, you could stop if you think that's good enough, and that might be your level of expertise. Just stop there. I was just giving you a nice look at it, how it'll look just base coloured. I'm now going to be using Quick Shade. I don't use this very often. I think there's a time and a place for Quick Shade, and this might not be it. I used this because I didn't want to, I thought it was going to take up a lot of my wash, and I didn't want to run out of my black or dark brown wash doing this, and I thought Quick Shade's probably about the same. The reason the video wasn't out yesterday night is simply because this takes forever to dry. It's 24 hours to dry, so I couldn't finish painting this for you, unfortunately. But I got up today and I cracked on with it some more. I think it's fine, it's worked, and it's not a problem, but wash I think would be better. A black or a dark brown wash would do a very similar job without being super sticky, without being quite hard to work, without ruining a brush. Make sure if you do use this, use a cheap brush, because that brush is now ruined, and I cleaned it afterwards and it's still wrecked. I'm just glad I didn't use one of my nice brushes. So I'm just showing you again, so you could stop now. This is another point. I'm just showing you how that looks after the base coat and the Quick Shade. That did not take a lot of time to this point, and I think that looks nice. And the shine, it adds this shine that some people might like, some people won't like, but that shine gives it a look of highlight, and it looks sort of done straight away. I am going to go on to highlighting anyway. I think I can make this look better, and I'd just like to show you some more steps. And you, as I said, you can stop at any of these steps, and anywhere you think that's as far as you want to go. Applying that Quick Shade is a piece of cake. Nobody should stop before that, but maybe you're thinking I want to use a wash instead, and that might be more difficult. That was me dry brushing Zombie Skin mixed with Leather Brown, about 50-50. I'm trying to make a yellowy brown just to highlight up all that wood. And I just dry brushed it across all the planks of wood, and I just left a very thin layer on the outside. I'm going to now dry brush with Zombie Skin on the ropes, and I'm just slowing this down now and letting you see how to dry brush. So I've dipped my brush in some paint. I've then scraped off as much paint as I can onto that paper towel, so there's basically nothing coming off the brush, but trust me, it's still there. And then going to lightly scrape my brush in the opposite direction to the rope strands, would you say? So the paint's being dragged across the texture, and it's just going to leave a little bit of this Zombie Skin on the top edge of the ropes, leaving that Quick Shade or wash, if you've just used a wash, leaving that in the recesses of the rope, which gives it a really, really nice, realistic look. And I've just showed you one side of it, and I've gone around and done all the rope, including the rope holding the rocks and around the netting. So that's that finished. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with Brainmatter Beige. So I'm going to dry brush this on to sort of the corners of the rope and the top of the rope, and just even less, but this was difficult to see anyway. I'm wiping Brainmatter Beige, which is just slightly off white, onto a white kitchen paper, so I couldn't even tell whether I was getting any on there, but I'm using a very, very, very small amount and just catching the top edges of the rope now, just to make it look a little bit more realistic, a little bit brighter and whiter. The next highlight is going to be Machinegun metal again. So I've just taken this out, and I've got my detail brush. I'm very, very, very carefully painting around the edges of all of the metal. So I'm painting in the hexagonal wheel hub. I'm painting that back in. I'm just going around all the edges. This was one I actually missed and didn't notice it during the base coat, but it's fine. I can just highlight that up. I'm then just going to go around the hub, get all of those nuts, get the center of the hub. I'm going to highlight the front edges of those, what are those called? Like what you tie chains to. I'm going to do the same to all the wheels. I'm going to do it to every sort of bolt and nut that's protruding from the mechanism. I'm also going to paint all the edges, the edges where it's meeting the wood, basically, where the light would be just gleaming off of the corners of all these pieces. Same with the huge weight. There's loads and loads of rivets on there, and lots of edges to do. There's lots, so I'm just going to zoom forwards here and show you how that looks finished. So I just painted in a lot of the base colour, tidied up some places where that Quick Shade had just settled a little bit too much, a bit too dark for my liking, and just highlighted that back up. We're going to do a second highlight on that metal using Claymore blade, which is from the Zombicide set by Army Painter, and this is the brighter silver. And I'm just going to go around and add a teeny tiny bit to the very tip of all of those rivets or bolts or whatever they are on the hubs. And I'm just going to paint the center of the hub and the very top edges of the hexagonal bit, so you can see I'm just catching the two top lines of the hexagonal, whatever. And I'm also going to go around the actual wheel, the tire-ish, the metal rim. Yeah, that's a good word. I'm also going to catch that. I haven't even painted that till now. That was still the base colour. It was still the brown. I left it on purpose because I knew I was just going to add this single brightest highlight on the very edge. Just make this wheel look really, really nice. It's a nice detail that adds a lot to the model. So I'm just taking my time. I'm using the edge, the side edge of my brush, and I'm just catching, just sort of scraping that paint onto the edge of that wheel. And then going to go around the rest of the model and just paint the top edges basically of every piece of metal. So the top edges of those rings. Rings was a good word. I should use that in the first place. And the top edges of all of these joints with the metal on. Just making it look as though the sun's just catching the top, just gleaming down, making it sparkle on all of the edges. Edges. Paint the edges, guys. It's going to look good. You'll be pleased with the results come the end. So I'm just speeding. You can see this all. This does not take a long time. Just going around it all. It's a little bit boring because you're essentially doing the same thing sort of like 4 times. There's 4 wheels. There's 4 edges. Everything's very 3D, very square. So there's 4 of everything. Very symmetrical as well. There's not a lot of difference between it. I mean, that's probably good. That's good, strong construction. This catapult will probably work and kill some orcs. So there you go. That's it finished. That's highlighted up. So I could have just stopped there. You could stop there, but I'm going to go on, do a little bit more. First of all, I'm going to glue that down. It's circular-ish, but basically it's got a flat bottom with way, way less detail than the rest. It's supposed to rest on that, and I thought I'm sick of it moving around. I kept looking at it, it wasn't quite square on, so you could see the underside, which isn't as detailed. So I've just super glued that to the base of the catapult. You don't need to do that. I've just shown you I've done it. I think it stops you seeing the least good side of that bag, and I've just glued it into the middle. And then another step I'm going to do is this isn't using the Zombicide set. Unfortunately, there's nothing to do it, and I just thought this was looking good. I'm really, really happy with this trebuchet, but I want to put something on it. I need some blood or something. I just need a little bit of colour. It's just brown, silver, and zombie skin, and it was just a little bit dull in my opinion. So I couldn't put blood on it because I couldn't think anywhere there would be. So I'm using Typhus Corrosion, which is a weathering product by Citadel, and I'm just going to paint that in the rim of all of the wheels, just as though it's been sat in some mud. Just collected up a bit of mud. I'm also going to catch the bottom of the hubs as though perhaps they've got water damaged and they've rusted a little bit towards the bottom. I'm going to pool it on the weight around the metal as though, again, it's either dirt or just rusting. It's just weathered. I'm going to paint up on any metal that's near the bottom. I'm just going to paint upwards a little bit as though it's been dragged either through the mud or it's sort of damp rising up. And that's just a little bit of detail that I think's just made it for me. I'm really, really pleased with that. This is after I've just varnished this in a satin varnish, Aegis suit, and that's just taken some of that shine off as well as protecting it. Fortunately, it's still bent, even though I tried bending it back, so that's going to bother Stephen. I'm sure he'll mention that below. But I think it looks great. It was a really, really, really easy model to do. Took quite a bit of time, but there it is. I think that's going to look fantastic when I play with it. So, as I mentioned at the start, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of them, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you'd like to get involved in voting what I'm painting next, come and check out my Patreon. Thank you all very much for watching.